Natasha Winston-Clark, and I'm back with another segment of NSE Study Break. And today I'm actually with Patricia Towal from the University of Virgin Islands. Hi, Patricia. How's it going?
Hello from the land of endless summer.
Woohoo! So Patricia Towal is actually the NSE coordinator at the University of Virgin Islands. And in this meeting, we'll get to know more about her university and what she does. So Patricia, tell us about yourself, where you're from, what you did study, what you're doing now, and of course, the university that you work at.
All right. I'd love to tell you that. Well, I'm actually from Texas. Went to that little bitty school down there with the Longhorns and trained as a teacher. Did that for quite a while, special education. I work with the federal government to teach other teachers how to work with children with impairments. And then I became a school counselor, elementary and high school. And then when our children left home, they were not coming back to the ranch. So we literally sold it and came to the Virgin Islands. And I was lucky enough to come into the position of Director of Counseling and Career Services here at the University of the Virgin Islands on St. Croix. So that's kind of where I've been. Done quite a bit in my life, sailing, raising horses, riding horses, just a variety of things. And we're really happy here. We've been here since 2011. So I've been at the university since then.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. What's it like teaching at a HBCU?
Well, I have always enjoyed learning from people with other backgrounds and whatever, and I really enjoy the island people. That is one of the biggest draws, I think, for NSE students. We have a very friendly population, and we're very cosmopolitan in the sense we have people here from all over the Caribbean, because some of the smaller islands only have like a 2-year junior college, and they have an agreement to come to UVI to finish out their 4-year degree. So we have people here from St. Lucia, St. Bart's, St. Kitts Nevis, Jamaica, St. Martin. We have them from all over the Caribbean. Grenada, Dominica, Dominican Republic, Haiti. And you'll find people here from Europe, from the United States, students who have just choose to be a UVI student. And of course, we have our NSE guests, our NSE exchange students. So it's, it's a great population, great place to work.
Wow, that sounds that's really diverse. That's awesome. I'm shocked over here because I'm just wow, this is my first time, like I said before, it's my first time meeting you. It's my first time hearing about the Virgin Islands. So really excited to learn more about the school. So how did UVI come across this opportunity to be in the program?
Well, we've been a member for a very long time, long before I came. So I think UVI has always had its eye on how to bring better experiences for our students. And many of the students that go to UVI, whether they're on the St. Thomas campus, which is 40 miles north of St. Croix, across 40 miles of deep water, some of the deepest on earth. So they're always looking for opportunities. And many of our students have never left the Virgin Islands. Some of them maybe have gone to Puerto Rico. Maybe they've gone to visit family in the United States, but there are lots of folks here who literally have never left the territory. So bringing people in from Canada and the U.S., as well as having our students go, is just a great opportunity for everyone. It lets everyone grow and see a different perspective. So I don't know exactly how it happened, but it happened a long time ago.
Okay. And how long have you been the NSE coordinator at UVI?
Since I got here in 2011. In fact, I moved from Texas, left every bit of winter clothing behind because I wasn't going to need it. And my supervisor sits me down and says, "Oh, I have a treat for you. You're going to Alaska." And I went, "What?" And she said, "Yes. The NSE Placement Conference, which happens every March, we go to a different locale in the U.S. and we place all the students. And that year, my first year, happened to be Alaska. So Fortunately, my husband had some business trips to do, so he was able to go back and get some clothes for me, including a full-length fur coat that I had been gifted by my daughter. So I was ready. I was ready for the weather. Very different than what we have in the Virgin Islands. So that's kind of part of
That's really funny. That's really ironic. How many students exchange to your school every year?
Well, we have two campuses, so combined somewhere between 15 and 20, maybe 25. St. Thomas has larger residence hall capacity, so they get a few more students than we do, and it's not unusual for like 15 to 20 students go there. Here we're smaller, so we usually have anywhere between 5 and 10 that exchange with us, and we try to send at least as many as we can. Hopefully we get 3 to 5 who want to go on NSE exchange.
Oh, wow. And like, how many of your students exchange elsewhere? And what's the most popular destination they exchange to?
Well, a lot of the students here want to go where they have family, so a lot of times that's up the Northeast Corridor. We've had students, however, with interest in diving. I had one just last year went to Guam, and another young man who was lived here all of his life, he went to Hawaii, and then the following fall he went to Cape Breton, which is in Nova Scotia. So there's not really a popular destination. It's kind of driven by their major and also wanting to be close to where family is.
Okay, that's very understandable. That's understandable. And, you know, when NSC students come there, what's a few school traditions you encourage them to participate in when they come?
Well, we have a lot of activities on campus, and of course we want them involved in that. We have a VI Caribbean Culture Center on campus with lots of native art and all kinds of interesting artifacts. So we like for them to be involved in that. We also have something called convocation in the fall. And if you are an exchange student here, you go through the same ceremony, receive the same medallion. And it's just to say welcome to the UVI community and to recognize that you are coming in from high school, particularly to the higher education community. And other than that, it's more what we do island than necessarily university. We have great music here. We have good nightlife. We have beautiful beaches that are just minutes away from the campus, both campuses, St. Thomas and St. Croix. So it's more the island kinds of things. I mean, you'll be exposed to the real calypso, the protest music from centuries ago, as well as the new music that's popular now. Our food is very Caribbean, so they'll be exposed to the tastes and sounds of the Caribbean right here on St. Croix.
Well, speaking of like festivals and stuff, I know like in New York City, we have something called like the Caribbean Day Parade, celebrating the Caribbean culture. Do you guys have that down there too, like a Caribbean festival?
Absolutely. In fact, there's 3 main islands in the Virgin Islands, and one is St. Thomas, but I'm going to start with ours. We'll start with them. Their carnival is at the end of April, the beginning of May. We were not able to have it last spring, but I think everyone is hopeful we'll have it back. And it's just what you would expect. It's a big carnival street parade, food fair, all kinds of fun outdoor booths to see. St. John has the Jazz Festival, and that falls around the 4th of July. And then St. Croix Festival is at the end of December, at the beginning of January. It is the January 6th, and so we celebrate our day then. And we also have a big parade. Another big parade here is St. Patrick's. This island was held by the British sometime in our history, and there's a lot of British tradition here, including driving on the left. We're U.S., but we drive on the left. So you have to get used to that. But the St. Patrick's Day Parade is great fun, and right downtown in one of our towns, Christiansted. So that's Those are our festivals. Not to mention the BVI is within a ferry's ride from St. Thomas. Puerto Rico is easily gotten to by plane, and they have their own sets of festivals.
Oh, whoa. That's really cool. That's awesome. Okay. So, in terms of transportation, how can exchange students commute to their classes and or to activities outside of campuses? Like, for example, like someone coming from like a big city, like me from New York City coming in from an urban area where I can get around conveniently. How does that happen? How can you position a student down there?
It is something that students need to know about. We do have taxis. We do have buses. We have on St. Thomas, they have some open air buses that run up and down the main roads. If you want to go to a specific address, it will cost some money, but most everything students are going to want to do is going to be on the main taxi or bus route. So that's how transportation works. You can also make friends with local folks with cars, give them a little bit of gas money. They're happy to take you. If they're going shopping, they're happy to take you if they're going out in the evening. We can also arrange special taxi services for a lot less money than it would take if you were trying to do it privately. So if you're coming from a big city like New York, though, you got to get ready. This is an island. We are only 27 miles long. You think about where you live in New York City and how big the 27 miles would take you. That's all there is here. And the same is true for the campuses. They're small and self-contained. The one here, everybody walks. It's a short walk everywhere you need to go, but we have a lot of grounds you can walk on. We have a tennis court, we have a basketball court. On St. Thomas, they have an upper campus and a lower campus, and they are right on a bay. So there is actually a public street that runs through the St. Thomas campus, but they have a shuttle that will take people from the lower campus to the upper campus. And again, just wave down a taxi and away you go.
Oh, wow. And speaking of the other campus, do you have something like for HBCUs, we usually have like classics and we have like rival schools. Do you have something similar to that with the other UVI?
Well, we are the only HBCU outside of the Caribbean, but I'm not familiar with those things that you're mentioning. But we do have, events where everybody just kind of hangs around, music gets played, popcorn is served through student activities. We tend to do that pre-COVID during lunch times periodically. Pretty often they'll set up the music and people just hang out. And we do have what they call stomps. We haven't had one of those in a while, but it's where everybody just kind of gets in a line and walks around the campus, and it's usually later at night. During the carnival and at Christmas, because it starts the day after Christmas, they have Juvet, which comes from the French tradition. And so people are up at all hours of the night trying to bring in fun and festival. So we definitely know how to party in the Virgin Islands. No doubt about it.
Yeah, Juve. That is the prequel to the Caribbean Festival.
Yeah.
So, what are some popular destinations around campus you think exchange students should check out?
Well, our campus is really pretty small. So again, we're going to be looking at the island. Well, on the North Shore, they've got some beautiful beaches, some great places to eat. In the West, you're right on where the Caribbean Sea comes into the beach. And there's a great place out there, Rainbow Beach, where people have beach volleyball, and there's a nice little restaurant there. We also have the Webb Museum, which is one of the more complete great houses left over from the plantation era, so they can check that out. We have a sugar cane farm that's not far from UVI. In fact, you can walk down there and get a cup of very sweet cane juice. Christiansted is our other town, and these towns were built by the Danish, and they were built in like 1600s. Whenever the Danish came, they have walls that are like 4 or 5 feet thick. There's a fort at both ends of the island. Out east, we have Jackson. We have beaches out that way. All the beaches in the Virgin Islands are public, so you are able to use them, even if they're in a hotel area. You can't use their equipment, or they can ask you to pay for it, but you can get on the beach, and they have public access walkways to get on the beach. The Buccaneer is one of the older resorts here. It's still owned by the same family. Beautiful spot, overlooks the harbor in Christiansted. We have a boardwalk, which lots of little bars, restaurants, fun things to do down in Christiansted. So that's very popular with our students. They go down there quite a bit. In the west, there's a big pier that people swim around. So it mostly revolves around beaches and hanging out and getting to know people.
Okay. And have you ever experienced an exchange student who eventually transferred to your university to study? If so, what influenced your decision? Oh.
Yes, we have. This is not set up to be a transfer program, but yes, we have. We have had more than one that wanted to just stay with us. So we've had one or two that stayed where they went, but that's less common than people deciding to stay with us. And generally, it's the same things: the weather, the beach, the atmosphere, the people. They just enjoy being here, and they want to transfer over and graduate from our university.
Oh, I think I might have to come over there. Okay. And for UVI students who exchange somewhere else, how do you keep up with them and the progress they've made at their host campus?
Well, in this day and age of email and texting and various things, so I keep in touch with them that way. Fortunately, they keep in touch with me as well. Also, I check in with the coordinator where they're at, make sure everything's going all right. And if an NSE student, for any reason, gets into a situation, there's a whole support system with the NSE coordinators. So I have had to get in touch with NSE coordinators to help me with situations, and they have had to get in touch with me, particularly if there's an issue with a transcript or something like that. But there's a whole support system. We've had people get sick. We've had people get into car accidents. And then the coordinators have to work together with the families to make sure everything works.
Okay, that's good. And like transitioning from that, what are some questions students... Oh wait, no, I missed my question. In terms of like earlier this year, the COVID pandemic, we had more cases. How did you navigate that situation with your students and trying to get them home, or your students going elsewhere trying to get them back?
Well, that was quite a sudden thing we all experienced. UVI decided pretty early on we would be closing the res halls. So our deans of students worked with students to try to help them if they needed some help with a plane ticket to get them back to their homes. It happened around the time of our spring break, so we were able to extend spring break. Some of the students had gone home for spring break and they simply stayed. So the timing of it from that sense was lucky for a few of them because they were already home. A couple of them were on vacation, however. One of them was over in Jamaica, and she had to just fly home. Their belongings, and they were shipped back to them if they could not return to campus. Majority of our students live on St. Croix, the ones that are in the residence hall. They live with families here. So it's a matter of just relocating to their house. But we did have two students here from another exchange program, Norwich University in Vermont. And both of them were home, so they just stayed home. And that's how we navigated that. And we did not reopen this fall. We're very hopeful. We're reopening in January. Waiting to hear.
Wow. Okay. And what are some questions students should be asking when exploring their options for NSE?
Well, the cost of living, it is a little more expensive to live on an island because everything has to be brought here by boat or plane. So that's a lot more expensive than trucking groceries around in the US. So the cost of living is a little higher here. So it's always good to kind of check into that. It's not exorbitant, but you are going to spend more for toiletries and certain things in the grocery store. I think it's a good idea to do some research about where you're going to go. The Caribbean has very different history from the US, and all different countries are involved. The struggles that people went through here are very different than some of the struggles with civil rights they've gone through other places. And also just getting to know the general idea of a place. Caribbean, we are the US, but we're not quite the US. So there are some things here that it helps you to be a little savvy with before you come. Kind of understand what is the Virgin Islands, how did it come to be here. We were actually bought from the Danish government in 1917 for $25 million in gold. So we were a possession before we were a territory. So just getting some of the feel for that, even if you're in the States, if you're coming from the Northeast corridor and going to the southwest part of the US, it's a good idea to learn some things about it and to read up on it, be familiar, go to the tourist sites, see what they're showing as places of interest. And I recommend all my students do that. Transportation, that's a very good question to ask because not all of our schools have good transportation. And we are one where you're going to have to pay for it or be real friendly with somebody. So.
Okay, no problem. You actually answered my last question about giving NSE students coming to UVI. So actually, that'll be the wrap up of our NSE study break. I'm Natasha. I interviewed Patricia Towal from the University of Virgin Islands. Check it out if you're trying to exchange over there. Go to nsc.org. If you want more information, well, if you want to rewatch this video, we'll be posting it on YouTube and or Instagram, specifically on NSC's YouTube and Instagram pages. Thank you, and everyone have a nice day.